welcome to Responsible Recreation, a segment of the Community Affairs Hour that features local guests discussing topics of interest to Western Colorado residents who love outdoor activities. I'm your host, Morgan Rossway of Colorado Canyons Association. Today my guest is Andrea Tanner, a board member of CCA and manager at Wet Dreams River Supply. We are discussing river stewardship, river safety, and Know Before You Goes today. Thanks for coming on the show, Andrea.
Thanks for having me, Morgan.
Of course. So spring is here and water levels are looking great for the upcoming river season on the western slope. Andrea, can you tell us a little bit about how you got started or involved in the river community here?
I have 4 children, and in the winter, all winter, we would ski together. And we were sort of at a loss for the summer. So we chose to get a boat, and that's how it all began.
Awesome. And how many years would you say you've been involved in rafting and river stuff?
I got my first boat 27 years ago.
Wow, that's a lot of experience.
It's a lot of fun.
Yes. So I know we've had a pretty decent precipitation year, including today since it's now raining. All things considered, what does that mean for recreation on the river?
Well, we should have quite a bit of water in the rivers eventually. How fast or how slow it warms up will negate how the river flows are going to be. I'm expecting that they'll be high. If it warms up fast, it could be flooding. It could create a lot of debris in the river. It could be very interesting, as I'm sure it will be either way. But a lot of water should come through the river.
So wild ride for a little bit.
Maybe a long time. If it warms up slow, it could keep those levels up higher.
Nice.
So it's anybody's guess.
Awesome. For folks who maybe have only been on a town run or visited Las Colonias River Park downtown, can you explain how high water, low water seasons work and what safety concerns people should have and prepare for during those times of high water?
Okay. High water can be really fast, and it can create quite a few safety hazards on the river. It can also be really fun. It can make a run from Palisade to Loma maybe 2 hours, where in slower water it can be up to 4, 5, 6 hours even. The faster the current goes, the faster the water rises, the more hazards are created by debris in the water and on the banks, and that can be a big safety factor and more challenging to a boater. You might have to move the boat around differently than you do on slow water, or your inner tube. It would be pretty scary at high water to take an inner tube down, I would think. It's important to remember that the rivers don't flow just downstream, they flow up and down too, so you can have whirlpools and currents that go from the top of the water to the bottom of the water, and that can create quite a hazard.
Right, yeah. So could you explain that term CFS, what that stands for, and where someone could go to figure out the current CFS if they are planning on getting on the Colorado or the Gunnison River this season to kind of, be able to see what those river levels are at?
Sure. CFS stands for cubic feet per second, and that is a measurement of cubic feet per second, which is the rate of the water moving. It's basically 1 cubic foot passing a given point for 1 second. The measurement is equivalent to approximately 7.5 gallons per second, or 450 gallons per minute.
Wow.
And you can find that information by going on the USGS site. You can, in your computer, you can search the section of the river that you're going to do, and if they have a gauge there, they will show you, the website shows you what the CFS is. And it also says what the mean, median, average, and low is as well.
Like from past data, you mean?
Correct.
Awesome. You are listening to Responsible Recreation on KAFM. Our guest is Andrea Tanner from Wet Dreams River Supply and the Colorado Canyons Association Board, talking about river safety in the national conservation areas. So we are really lucky to have rivers that flow through all 3 of the national conservation areas here on the western slope. What are some of your favorite stretches of river to run in those 3 national conservation areas around here?
I really enjoy the Gunnison River, anywhere from Delta to Whitewater. It's beautiful. The train goes along there. There's not a lot of people in it. It's quite nice. I probably shouldn't have said that, but we're indeed lucky to have such beauty around us. Oftentimes when people ask me what my favorite river section is, the answer is always the one I'm on.
Fair answer.
Yeah, I think that all of the NCAs are beautiful, and we're really, really lucky to have all of those. And any of them is a treat to be on. Any of them is really beautiful. They are all really beautiful.
Yeah, I love Ruby Horse Cave too. It's definitely getting time for that around here. For people who are probably not as familiar, what would be some good know before you go, since that's a pretty popular overnight river trip for people around here, especially the good first overnight river trip that a lot of people take.
Yeah, Ruby Horse Thief is a great first river trip. The one thing that you absolutely have to know is that it is a permitted river. And you can go to recreation.gov and get a permit for that or pick up cancellations. Don't be discouraged, the cancellations do happen, and know the regulations on that. And take the right craft.
Absolutely. So what is the best way to plan and prepare for the upcoming river season with the spring weather that we have ahead, for the NCAs, but just general leave no trace practices as it applies to riparian recreation?
One of the things that I always think is there's two things you need for a good trip: the right gear and the right attitude. So one of the things is make sure that your boat is waterworthy. Make sure you have the right craft for the right river. Maps are really nice to have, even though the water only flows one way down. I mean, it only flows downstream, but it's nice to know where the camps are, and maps will often include where the features are that you need to be careful of. Sometimes they talk about archaeology and geology and hikes, so it's always a good idea to have a camp and know where you are on the river. Yeah.
I feel like with the maps too, you talked about how during high water especially, sometimes the river's moving a lot faster than it would be other times of year. And I know those river maps have saved us a lot in the past, just in my own experience of if you know where your camp is coming way ahead of time, if the river's moving faster than you thought, being able to just scout it and get off instead of overshooting and missing your camp.
Yeah, that's a good thing to know too, is where you are on the river.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's tricky, but a lot of the maps will have what are they called? The elevation lines. So you know
Yes.
that if the lines are really close together, you're on a cliff, and maybe they open up, and that's your camp.
Yeah, the topographic kind of features.
That's the word I was looking for.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's also really important to know what's required too of those sections, those permitted sections. And generally, if you're going on a section of the river that's not permitted, it's a really good idea to know other rivers that are permitted, so you know the proper gear to bring.
Yes. You are listening to Responsible Recreation on KAFM. Our guest is Andrea Tanner from Wet Drains River Supply and the CCA Board, talking about river safety in national conservation areas. So, Andrea, what would be some educational safety resources for folks who are new to boating and the river?
Well, we've already talked about maps, so that's a good thing. One of the rangers at one of the national parks talks about the most important piece of safety gear is your brain that you bring along. So always think and always plan ahead. And in my opinion, life jackets are extremely important. Even though the river does not look scary or it doesn't look like it's moving fast, if you are in the water, it's a whole other thing. And watch out for hazards. The hazards can be, if you're floating through town, bridge abutments are really scary, and they collect sticks and pieces of debris that can catch your craft or you or whatever. So you need to stay away from those. And there's also things called strainers, which are pieces of wood, again, sticks, trees, whatever, that are generally closer to the bank, and you really want to stay away from those. And at the higher water, sometimes it's not very easy to move your craft. So know how your craft moves, and make sure that you plan ahead and stay away from those things. One of the things that's happening in the valley is there's Brian Griffin has a company called River Rescue Dynamics, and he teaches several classes during the summer, and they're very educational for beginner boaters and for anybody really. They go over things like how to get your boat unstuck, how to read the current, how to understand what those safety features are, the things that are scary, like I've already used the term strainers and holes and things like that. It's really important to know how to move around those, even through a sleepy section, what seems like a sleepy section through town.
Yeah, so maybe just good for someone who's not quite ready to commit to a swift water rescue course that can sometimes be pricey and a lot of information over a course of days, but a good opportunity to dip your toes in and learn some of that basic stuff rather than just kind of going in blind.
Correct, yeah.
Awesome. I understand there's a number of river festivals and events coming up this season, some stewardship events. We do have a few of those on our website as well, some river cleanup opportunities coming up. What are some of those that might be of interest for folks who are new to the Western Slope or river recreation here?
Well, this is the coming up is the second annual River Fest, and it's down at Las Colonias, and it's just a really fun event. It's free to attend. There will be some bands, there'll be a beer garden, there'll be a lot of vendors, there'll also be a free gear swap, so if you have some gear you wanna sell or buy, that's a good opportunity to do that, and it's just all around fun.
How cool. I'll definitely check that out.
And that's on
May 13th, I
May
believe.
13th,
You
from
said.
11 to 4.
Awesome. Well, Andrea, thank you for coming on the show today and chatting with us. You've been listening to Responsible Recreation on KAFM's Community Affairs Hour. I'm Morgan Rossway, the Volunteer and Outreach Coordinator for Colorado Canyons Association. Our mission is to share education, stewardship, and awareness in the 3 national conservation areas here in Western Colorado. For more information on our upcoming events, to become a member or volunteer, you can find more information on our website at www.coloradocanyonsassociation.org. I'll be back next month with another episode of Responsible Recreation. In the meantime, please enjoy and take care of your beautiful public lands.